Imagine, you are an accomplished adult working in the profession of your choice. Imagine, one event will occur that will change your life forever. Imagine, what if that particular event was the occurrence of your own rape? August 1986, Jane Doe became the fifth reported woman to be raped by a serial sexual predator dubbed the Balcony Rapist. This rapist stalked single women who lived alone in second and third floor apartments in a downtown Toronto neighborhood. Armed with a knife, he scaled the outer walls of high-rises located in a 6-block radius and entered the apartments through locked balcony doors. The police had full knowledge of this rapist and his modus operandi. However, they made a conscious decision not to inform the women in the neighborhood about this sexual predator. Why? Their rationale was that women, hearing the news, would become hysterical, and the rapist would flee the area. Discovering their decision days after her own rape, the woman who became known as Jane Doe realized that she, and women in general, were being used as bait to capture the rapist. Jane Doe, a highly accomplished adult working for a high-profile film festival, was very experienced in marketing and public relations. She was also actively involved in the then-thriving women's movement. Thus, she took it upon herself to organize a series of press conferences and posters to inform the women in the neighborhood about the danger they faced, due to the negligence of the Toronto police. The rapist was captured as a result of a tip received after Jane and other women distributed nearly 2,000 posters. In the prosecution that followed, Jane Doe became the first raped woman in Ontario to secure her own legal representation. This strategy allowed her to sit inside the courtroom while the hearings involving her rapist proceeded, whereas witnesses were generally not allowed to sit in. As a result, she heard details and discovered the shocking amount of police negligence and manipulations during the hearings, information usually withheld from women of her position. Although her rapist was convicted to 20 years in prison, the comfort she felt was cold. The same type of crime that had been committed against her could easily take place again. However, by 1986, the Canadian Constitution of Rights and Freedoms was a new constitutional document with a section designed to prevent gender discrimination. Feminism had established awareness of sexual assault as a prevalent social crime. But since criminal law did not serve raped women, the women's movement looked to civil prosecution as an alternative. Jane Doe became a test case. In 1987, Jane Doe sued the Metropolitan Toronto Police Force for negligence and charter violations in the investigation of her own rape. Unwilling to play the traditional victim role, she battled with a series of her own lawyers to ensure that she, the person most involved, directed her case. But it would be another 10 years until her case came to trial in 1997. The ensuing 9-week trial was a media bonanza, as retired police chiefs, celebrated psychologists, forensic profilers, an FBI agent from Quatico, and police officers from every stripe and station testified to the non-violent nature of Jane's rape case and police-bashing agenda. After the trial was over, the judge deliberated on the evidence for 6 months. She ruled in Jane's favor, and a common law legal precedent was set. A citizen could sue the police. She could even win. So, imagine, your life will forever be changed by one event, possibly your own rape. Jane Doe was raped. She decided to take matters into her own hands and apprehend the rapist herself. She got her own lawyer and sat in on the prosecution and learned of the severe negligence and manipulations of the Toronto police. Jane's rapist was sentenced, but her rights were violated as a Canadian citizen and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So she sued the Toronto police and won, even though the journey took more than 10 years. This is a story of Jane Doe, where one woman's will to stand up, back up her feet, and fight against the force, even though all odds seemed to be against her, resulted in her victory and milestone in women's rights.